Andrew.
Ah!
Andrew, where are you?
I don't know. I'm not quite
Andrew,
sure.
come on, we gotta go, mate. We've got a show to do. Where are you?
I have no idea where I am.
What? I don't know where your voice is coming from.
I have no idea where I am.
What do you mean? Are you lost?
There's a lot of there's some notes.
What are you talking about, mate? What are you talking about?
There seems to be a treble clef on my left.
A treble clef?
A treble clef on my left. There's 4 lines.
There's 4. Andrew,
or maybe 5.
Maybe even 5. What?
Is that a crotchet?
Oh my! There's a crotchet.
There's a crotchet.
What? So, do you want to follow my voice?
There's a semi-quaver. There's several semi-quavers everywhere around me.
Just follow my voice.
I am entirely disoriented.
Wait, I can't. We need to get you back. So where? I can't see where you.
All conception.
Come on, come on. Where are you, man?
There's a time signature.
Where are you lost?
There's a time signature.
Just tell me where you're lost, man. Where are you lost, man? Where are you lost?
I think I'm lost in music. See it, hear it, feel it. Coffee House sessions are back at Curiosity. Every Thursday at 4:30.
Yeah.
Come and enjoy some of the best campus musical talent in our very own
Curiosity,
acoustic lounge sessions. Or catch the live stream on our Facebook
Watch
page,
it, eat
Raw
it, smell it,
1251
be it,
AM.
live it,
Hashtag
try it,
set
kill
music
it,
free.
die, please stop, kill me.
Uncovering the best in new music. This is your Raw. Raw 12:51 AM. This is your Raw 12:51 AM.
You're listening to Your Raw.
Your Raw. Your Raw 12:51 AM. Raw 12:51 AM.
Come on, stop.
12:51 AM.
This is 12:51 AM, and you're listening to Raw. What are you listening to, Andrew? You're listening to Raw. Where can you listen to that? 12:51 AM, not PM. It's AM.
It's the AM. It's the morning, but it's the afternoon.
It's 1:07 PM.
20 seconds
on this
to 8.
Beautiful Tuesday.
And you are listening to Daniel
and Nathaniel.
Go to Disneyland.
How are we doing?
Oh, very well. How are you?
I'm very good. A little gripe straight off the bat, just coming straight into the show. Just before we came on the show, we often talk about it because it's a British cultural institution, the meal deal. I'm not going to spend long on it because we've already done about 4 hours of like content on it.
Too
but
much.
just a small gripe, which is a bit more of a relatable thing for the students out there.
Yeah, that's what we do.
£4 meal deal in Roots. That's not a meal deal. I got myself an Evian. I got myself a chicken and bacon sandwich. I got myself some squares.
What were your savings?
What were my savings? I do it and I'm like, right, I'm ready for a huge jump down the price. 3 pence.
3 pence.
3
That's not
pence.
a deal.
That's not a deal.
And the worst thing about this establishment is that they advertise this £4 meal deal outside on their billboards. This is like that's a pull to get you into the scene.
Unbelievable. I'm saving 3 pence. All right, that's me done.
Well, to get back at that, I asked you to bring in some moisturiser for me today, which you forgot.
Yeah.
So I went into the shop, got some moisturiser in my hands from the moisturiser aisle, and applied it to my face in there. And then I had to dry my face under one of those hand drying things, which is always an interesting way to start your day. Tom's here.
Tom's here.
Another interesting way to
here.
start your day.
Yeah,
that's what
Tom
he's good
saying
for.
leisure. Sorry, carry on.
Oh no, that's pretty much it. It's just,
So you stole some moisturiser.
yeah, and then dried my face under a hand dryer.
You're getting steely, man.
Not
You're
one of
getting
those-
really steely.
They do actually broadcast this show sometimes in the store.
You're not
so
getting
if
steely.
I'm
You're
suddenly
not
taken
stealing.
off air. It could be for a number of reasons.
Potentially, yeah.
Because we're on 2 strikes.
We're on 2 strikes in the minute.
One more
so
strike and we're off.
Wait, so this is the 4th. So we have about 6 more shows we have to be perfect.
Be perfect. 0 strikes.
So
or
we're
otherwise
trying
we're
our
off the
best.
air.
Off the air forever.
Off the air forever.
I
don't think it's forever. Might
So
be
starting with our major gripe. Does you guys? This is out to the audience. Are you guys aware of the show Master of None?
I am. Message in.
Yeah, it's a critically acclaimed show by Aziz Ansari, and I want to talk about it. But this is not to do with the allegations against Aziz. Like
We'll come to that.
They will come to those, but like
Just steady on. Give us some
without
time.
Even the allegations.
Let's just talk about the show.
I have huge problems with the show. So everyone's always saying, "Oh, Master of None's amazing. It's such an interesting look. It's so well shot. Oh, it's so great." Like I'm like, look, the representation on that show is fantastic.
Sure, great.
And In the past, I've been a bit against shows with high representation that I don't like with quality, but I've changed my mind. I think representation, it can qualify itself.
Gordon
sometimes.
Cohen are behind representation.
Sure, you've got a black lesbian, you've got an Asian dude,
Tick.
and you've got Aziz Ansari.
Double
and
tick.
it's just, these are the leads, and it's good to change those norms, sure. But past that, past the gorgeous cinematography, the lighting on that show is exquisite, because they got that Netflix money. What the actual show is about is, Aziz Ansari is this sort of, has endless amounts of money that you don't really know why, because he does occasional acting gigs, but it's not really clear where he's getting this money from. He just goes out, only eats in cool places and like goes out to
Stays in
bars
fancy hotels.
and all
Stone Pillars
hotels, and all of the shows about is just him going on dates with beautiful women, and there's occasionally some like a little bit of tension, but it never
dissipates
really
pretty quickly.
It dissipates really quickly, and like
40% of the show is them eating.
Is them eating and him cracking jokes, them laughing, them having a great time, and it's not what I want from my comedy
Because it's not actually funny.
It's not.
There's very few jokes that actually hit home where
Yeah.
you're laughing out loud a lot of the time. For instance, that episode we watched where it was essentially just isn't Aziz and this girl that he's going
It's
on a
called
date with
Nashville.
getting
I think it's
really
like episode 5 because
Yeah.
we're still pretty deep into the show, even though we despise
Because we
it.
love to hate it.
Yeah, we
It's
do
one of
love
those
to hate
things
it.
You feel good at the end of it.
No, but that episode was
Just gotta
ridiculous.
get
It summed up everything about the show. The storyline was that he's met this girl and they're starting to get along, and he because he's a quirky dude, he's like, let's just go to Nashville and have a mad day. So they fly to Nashville, and it's just so after the beginning is obviously them going to Nashville, and then there's like 22 minutes probably of them in Nashville having a great time. So going to cool places, making fun of the locals in a quirky way, and all the comedy is about how cute, and it's just
And
making
how
you
all
like,
the inside jokes are being
yeah,
formed.
and
Oh
it's
my
just
God,
like,
again, so
and they're
well.
always like, maybe they'll rib each other a little bit, but it's that kind of
But
flirty
it's flirty
banter,
niceness that only the people in the couple find entertaining,
So
not the rest of the nation.
Not
or
the rest of the
world.
nation. Once again, gorgeous lighting, shot beautifully.
Right,
I'm not
sure,
like
sure.
the cinematographer. He did all 20 episodes, and he is what keeps that show together.
100%.
And then they finally introduce some sort of tension in the narrative. There's a conflict finally, which comes in but like 5 minutes before the end.
Yeah.
He, because he's a quirk lord, he likes this white barbecue sauce, and he says, you know what, I want to pick up some of this white barbecue sauce to bring home.
It'll be
She's like-
fine. We'll make the plane.
And she's like, no, seriously, I hate rushing
it'll
the
be fine,
plane.
we'll
And he
make
goes,
the
we'll make the
plane.
plane. Cut, they've missed the plane.
Oh,
She's
no.
pissed off. Guess what? Not only did she miss the plane, but she's missed her daughter's recital. No, not daughters.
daughter?
No, like her sister's.
Her sister's.
Some
I don't think
family
she has a
member's
kid.
recital. She's really upset about it. I'm like, okay, so maybe there's going to be something at the end where it's like, they've had this wonderful time, but then this one little thing is going to ruin it all, and there's like an interesting...
And there'll be an interesting
yeah,
look at
like an
how the
interesting...
ruin of the bonding nice, quirky
and all
opening
that
date.
was kind of pointless, and you could see them then.
Yeah.
They spend 5 hours waiting in the airport, not talking to each other, pretty pissed off.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, we're starting to build this up. They finally get on the next plane, and then the seats aren't together, they're sitting apart, and I was like,
Nightmare.
it could like drift out with them just not even speaking to each other
Yeah.
after this one thing. He asked to switch places with the person next to him. Then they just start banting again.
Get back into New York, eat the dinner.
And then they go eat dinner. They're like,
Go for
let's hang out. And they start
There's not
going
a single
out.
episode that doesn't end with Aziz eating dinner with an attractive lady.
And it's one episode, he has sex with Claire Danes.
Claire Danes.
He cast the show and writes
Claire
the show.
Danes.
It's Aziz Ansari. How can he's okay, this is a bit of a hot take. He's taken his position, his low status position as a minority and like the oppression and that, and then just said
Ignored
that's the
the rest.
only
Yeah,
thing.
that's-
So
yeah.
I'm going to be
Money
I'm
isn't
gonna
an
be,
issue.
I'm going to be a comedy
Attractive level isn't an
protagonist
issue.
with like the fact that there's obviously a lot of issues coming with being a minority, like there's interesting cultural stuff, but when
That
you're
is
like
a hot take.
yeah, that is hot. But when it's just like him with endless amounts of money just sleep with endlessly beautiful women,
Yeah,
I just can't get on board with
Can't
that
get
kind
on
of
board with
comedy.
No.
You
No,
know,
it's ignoring a lot
these
of
are
other
not these
factors to
David
make it.
Brents, these Alan Partridges, these real like comedy heroes of mine who are like, you need to be really below the audience, but he's just taking it like,
Too
right,
much above, yeah.
we're a minority, so we're just
And
going to
let's not
say
even mention the allegations that are coming out.
and now the allegations, because the whole show is about how him as well, proving how woke he is. And like occasionally he gets things wrong, but he learned and he listens.
He
So
learns
there's
and
like
he
loads of episodes about women speaking to Aziz about what it's like being a woman, and he's thinking like, wow, it really must be hard. And then him being a good feminist and like it's just about how incredibly progressive and woke he is.
Yeah.
And it's once again, there's no like tension there. It's just like, look how great I am. Look how many great women
Well,
I am.
and there was the episode you watched recently where he becomes a feminist.
Yeah, he becomes a feminist.
So after a bit of push and pull,
a bit
or
of
is he
push.
immediately
No, so he
into it?
does a really great feminist act, and then a dude comes over and shakes just the men's hand at the table,
Yeah.
and the women are like, "Well, do you see that?" And he's like, "I didn't notice that. I don't think that's. I think you're making something out of nothing." And then she lays it out for him. Look, you understand. For you, it might seem that. And he goes, "You know what? I think you're right.
You're right, yeah.
And then they just carry on. Then they just carry on. So like once again, like a little sniffle
like you're dipping
of a
your toe
conflict,
into
and
the
like
issues.
a conflict. But then he resolves it. He's great. Everyone loves Aziz. Now the allegations about a date where he was like sexually aggressive on a date. It makes it such a horrible look on this show that's only about dating and about how he nails dating and how he like understands.
And how he's quite an introverted character
Yeah.
at the same time, and is never very pushy with women at all.
Not at all.
That's why a lot of the comedy is he doesn't really know what to do. So he rather than be aggressive, he'll take the step back approach, and then he'll get in all sorts of troubles for that. Comedic troubles, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But then with this coming out, kind of taints it quite a lot.
And when I first heard the allegations, there's one where I was like, oh, maybe that is too far for the movement. When I first heard it, I was like, it's not great, but it's not. I hope that he doesn't lose his show. I hope that he doesn't ruin his whole career over this. It doesn't seem like enough. But then watching the show, it does make it way worse that he's made a show about how great he is in
about
dates,
his character.
and then the allegations are about him being, and it's just an insidious vibe.
That's what we call problematic.
Right, Tom, in you come.
Get those headphones on.
You've been listening to the discourse. You watch Master of None?
Unfortunately, I don't watch the show.
Well, don't bother, man. Don't bother.
No, I think it
headphones
teaches
off.
us an interesting lesson about Hollywood, though, and just because someone's a celebrity doesn't mean you should look up to them in all walks of life. You know,
Tom comes straight in, just spitting pure fire into the microphone.
Everyone's got big flaws. You know?
Can you shed the wonderful story of Matt Weston, the MP? Because
very briefly.
This is like.
Spill the beans.
Matt Weston is our local MP for Leamington Spa.
Are you aware of that?
Okay, no, I'm registered only in London to vote in Brentford.
But during the election, all the students got together, and not by much, we got him in. He's been doing a great job.
Fantastic.
It was a Labour swing after several years of Conservative tyrannical rule in Leamington. And Matt Weston has got immediately down to the important issues in Leamington. For instance, last week, he posted, I think, 5 pictures of him squatting on the pavement, pointing to a small obstruction in the pavement. And something had to be done about this. Firstly, Matt was very unhappy that there was a small obstruction
really upset.
within the pavement. Yeah. It's a tripping hazard. People are tripping. He asked if anyone has been affected by this small tripping hazard in the Leamington pavement to message in, and he'll get something done about it. And I honestly implore you to go and look at the photos, because you have never seen a man with the perfect mixture of emotions on his face, of concern, but also, I'm going to get this sorted.
He's going to get this sorted because he's concerned about the public, but he's not so concerned that he's not focused on the task at hand.
Matt Weston's messaged him.
What's he saying?
No, he has.
Do you guys think it's possible for Jarl to play a 10-minute song so I can make some early afternoon late breakfast shreddies? Well, can you not make your shreddies whilst listening to us?
Surely. Yeah.
Can you only make your shreddies when listening to a 10-minute song?
I don't know what you're listening to. Listen on it, Matt Weston. So I can't really make judgment. But no, we can't.
I felt Kramer has also messaged.
Kramer, yeah.
As in from
Seinfeld.
From Seinfeld.
Yeah.
With the exact same message.
Okay.
So
Kramer, the fictional character.
Either they
and
both
Matt
have
Weston.
incredibly similar breakfast routines, or Matt Weston is in fact Kramer from Seinfeld.
Do you think he's absolutely he's messed up? He's like, oh no, give it away.
He's just like Kramer. No, I'm Matt Weston, and then he's panicked and gone back, because why would Kramer be listening to the show, but Matt Weston would be listening to the show? You got to think about these things if you're a split personality.
One thing Matt Weston has done is he's wrapped yellow and black danger tape around this tiny little thing in the road so that you can see it more clearly. So that's one. That's just his preliminary.
The man spoke in Parliament on the same day. Matt Weston is messaging again. And we've got him this time. Yeah. The kitchen is away from my FM radio. Well, we're on AM radio, Matt.
So, eat your shreddies and weep.
Oh,
yeah. How you been?
I've been okay. You know, I've been good. It's been a tough week, but I'm gonna soldier on through.
Because I saw you in the library and I see you like properly zoned into some work because you got that second year maths thing.
Yes, last year. For those for the listeners interested, I am a maths student.
What year are you in? Sorry,
I'm in second year.
You're in second year.
Yeah,
I took a gap year. That's why he's so mature.
But I'm older than Horatio.
And because he's
I'm
6 months younger. He's born in August 28th.
August 28th.
No way.
Three days away
I'm
from being
21.
below.
I'm 21. I'm the big 2-1.
You 21?
Yeah, I'm 21.
We discussed
years
this
old.
last
I'm
week with the
21.
whole Las Vegas trip that we
Oh, yeah.
We're gonna do that.
Yeah.
No, I've been okay. I'm feeling out of the loop with the whole Matt Weston thing. I didn't hear
you
what's
didn't
going
hear
on.
about the slight obstruction.
No, I thought that's sort of.
It's all over Leamington, man. Everyone's talking about it. Everyone's got their own views on
I
it.
know.
Talk of the town.
I'm a hermit. I'm in the library all the time.
We won't have a town left if we don't get this
All these
stopped.
obstructions. When will the obstructions stop?
But
It will
did
just be. No, go on. Continue.
Go on.
Tweet the photo, like how? I don't know what-
Facebook.
Matt
Okay.
Weston MP for
I will show you.
Leamington,
We need to. Well, I will show you
Okay,
the pictures
fantastic.
in,
Yeah,
in
yeah.
a song break. Which
Yeah.
should we maybe do now?
Yeah, let's take a song break.
Right. So we got a strike because we played not the playlist songs.
Yeah, second.
So
I'm waiting.
I've just gone because I don't know many of these. So I've gone by.
we got
just
Example,
names.
we got Taylor Swift, we got Rudimental.
Well, I've loaded one up that says by Sting and Shaggy. And is
Okay.
that legitimately Sting?
It could
No,
be-
it is.
Yeah,
It is. I
is.
heard about this.
Yeah.
Well, let's play
Well,
it.
we're gonna have to listen to
Play
this.
it.
Yeah.
Don't make me wait in vain. Love you. Can't wait to get my last name. Don't make me wait. Don't make me wait so long, girl.
That's cheap tickets, classic films, independent films, and the latest blockbusters. Experience in film direction or the chance to join a great fantastic team and see movies for free. Then join Warwick students in month today. Go to filmsoft.warwick.ac.uk.
The royal family.
Let's talk about it.
So there's a wedding
Okay,
coming
so-
up. Am I right? Am I in the know? Am I clued in?
Yeah.
Of course I am, because it's bloody everywhere. What are the
Bloody-
names? Harry and
Meghan.
Meghan who?
Markle.
Right.
Of Suits. Horrible show.
Yeah.
Meghan
Do you
Markle.
know? I haven't seen any of it.
Suits is basically
Oh,
the
God.
whole show is like it's so dramatic over everything, and most of the show is late at night. One of the lawyers is looking out of their skyscraper over New York with the reflection of themselves in the glass windows,
Contemplating.
and then someone will quietly knock on the door,
Yeah.
and the person won't look at them and just go like, will just turn his head, and then they'll discuss the conflict of the show.
Okay.
Yeah, carry on.
Every time.
Yep, every time. That's all it is.
So
Basically.
she's not fit for the royal family.
She's not.
She's making poor TV
She's making
content.
poor television.
She was married before as well, wasn't she?
Oh, what?
Oh,
What?
dear.
Listen,
Oh,
hold on. I don't want to be spreading
Tom,
rumors
no,
here.
he's
on
spreading-
Royal
You're live on
Radio.
AM radio.
I don't want to be
now.
spreading rumors.
That's going to be the next queen of the British Empire.
I don't read
know.
the
No,
I don't think she
tabloids.
will be.
no, if someone if the right people dies.
If William dies.
No, he's got kids. So,
He's
and the
got
kids dies.
I don't know the
So if-
the logistics of.
If William and his kids die, then
But frankly, I don't care. All right. Royal weddings, I dislike. We'll get on to the royal. Focus on royal weddings for a
Yeah,
second.
yeah.
It's the militant publicity around nothing that's happening, because nothing is happening. And you'll find a story on most news sites every day now until the wedding is completed.
Yeah.
And I was in the shop the other day and I saw on the front cover of a magazine that went Meghan's pre-wedding nerves. I'm like, how? What do you mean? One, if she has them, cool. I don't care. Why does the world care? No, and two, you don't know that? You
Yeah.
don't know what do you mean?
I mean, you're talking
Pre-wedding
from your
nerves.
opinion, but
Yeah,
do
we-
you remember you're not the target audience for
You have to understand
Meghan's
it's-
pre-wedding nerves.
There's,
Yeah.
there's a demand, and the
There
royal
is, but there
family
shouldn't be.
need to supply it.
Yeah, I guess so. And OK Magazine is that supply. Yeah, but it's it's nothing.
People
Nothing
love
is. I know people love it, and they shouldn't. Is what
One
I'm
thing
saying.
I will say-
'Cause I hate the royal family.
Well, I don't think British people love it so much. I think Americans
Americans love it.
Americans
They
and
love it.
Canadians and
Yeah.
and
Here's one
Why?
one
Those folk.
defense.
Why? It's
one
like
defense
symbol
of
of
the
the
royal
old empire that they
Yeah.
were under. I don't get it.
One defense also for the
Romantic.
royal family, though, is like, though obviously politically I don't think we should have one. I think it represents something bad. I feel getting rid of it would cause so many problems we don't need because some people.
What problems?
No, because when you like no.
Evidence,
Because
please.
there's a huge number of people in Britain who take a huge amount of pride in their cultural roots and tradition, and like America, I feel a lot of America's issues is they don't feel a true connection to a history, and that's something
Yeah,
that
so
Britain's.
What are you talking about? America's the most patriotic country in the world.
Yeah,
They
but have you
salute
seen the
their
type
flag
of
every
page? Yeah,
morning.
but
they
it's-
don't have
it's-
a long history.
They don't have a long history, and that a lot
As
of
an
it is their
independent nation.
insecurity about that.
You
I
think
feel.
so?
Yeah.
I guess you know more Americans than I do.
Britain has never needed a constitution because it has such a strong national identity and history that it's just never needed one. And things like royal family are just a huge traditional thing. And I do honestly think for a lot of people, we're uni students, left-wing uni students who, don't need the connection to like a cultural roots and like tradition, but a lot of people really care about this stuff. And when you remove that, it creates
opens up the door to be connected to something else, perhaps.
Alt-right
which is better.
and all.
Yeah.
No, look, like
It
it
could be
opens
better.
up the alt-right and like Brexit. A lot of that I feel is like a reaction to the feeling that their roots have been taken
As in,
away.
like a reaction to.
Yeah, I feel if you
Okay.
tear away the roots of tradition
Yeah.
that people clearly want,
I see what
just
you're
because
saying.
we don't want those roots of tradition doesn't mean I don't care enough about. The main thing is I don't care about the royal family,
Yeah.
but I don't care about them so much that if a huge number of people really feel connected to their country and they find that important, then like let them have
Well,
it.
Horatio, you said you do without the royal family, right? In an ideal
Personally,
world.
in my ideal
what
world.
if I told you, and I'm not totally sure.
Yeah.
Here we go.
What if I were to tell you that they bring in more money through tourism,
Yeah, this is
say,
always the big-
than taxes
yeah.
they expect? So they're actually good for the economy. What would you say then?
I'd say like they cost some. It's very spurious what they are, but
I'm saying if they did.
I feel that's the wrong way to approach
I want to
it.
look at
Like,
the
are we-
statistics for this because
yeah,
I'm sure
but
they
also
do
like,
bring
are
in
we just
some-
keeping the royal family because it makes money and then it completely nullifies
But
what
at
the
the
royal
same
family
time-
stands for?
Well, have you seen the state of
Is it the
our
royal
current public
family that bring it
services?
in, or is it not like Buckingham Palace? People don't come in to see the Queen; they come and see the palace.
I think the Queen helps the draw of Buckingham Palace a lot.
Yeah, sure. People are like I'm
I
in the
guess
same
so.
building as
But
the
I'd like to see the
Queen.
genuine of like not just the buildings and the architecture and things like that, and genuinely people
It's
come
very
in
hard
because
to
of the
gauge.
Queen.
It definitely
and
makes
then take
money,
that off
yeah.
how much money they get a year
Yeah.
to just do their thing and just live their lives in decadence for a long time.
Wait,
you know?
who? What?
The royal family.
What do you want them to stop being royal family and just get? Wait, what was that? I completely missed that.
As in, I'd like to see the comparison between how much money they bring in and how much money they're just allowed to spend.
Yeah.
How much? Because they get massive budget.
Yeah.
To go and do what? To just live.
Yeah,
and have their
I
own
mean, a lot of people
crazy
complain.
lives
A
because
lot of
they were
people
born like that.
compare.
I
A lot of
guess.
people compare, like, oh my god, the royal family has so much money, and so people have so little. But like, I don't feel like they're super privileged or lucky because I'd hate to be in the royal family. And
Yeah,
like,
be total. So it's everyone's losing.
The money they because the big draw of having a lot of money is freedom, and they don't even have that. The reason they have a lot of
It'd be
money,
horrible.
It's a paradox,
Yeah,
isn't it?
like, the
Yeah.
reason
Lots of money,
they
no freedom.
The reason they have loads of money is because they need to keep up this image that brings in money and like all that stuff. So I don't care. I don't really get it when people are like, oh, there's people like homeless on the street. They're like a business. They need to have money to survive. So it's like it only works with having a lot of money, and they're not lucky. I don't think they're lucky. I'd hate to be born in a royal family. It'd be a nightmare.
Well, they're lucky in comparison to a lot.
They're lucky. Yeah,
Yeah.
I guess so.
I think
Depends
that's-
how you look at it.
But
It
so are we.
depends.
So are we.
Yeah.
Like I'm lucky
Yeah, but we're
to.
not-
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
no, but
it's
you're
like-
going into like this. Sure, there's as you get to the top and you get more money, you start to realize money's and everything. That happens, sure, but that doesn't diminish the point that they are extremely privileged in their lifestyle, not necessarily in their psychology, because of course it's going to be weird being in the royal family.
Yeah, but Horatio's talking about the privilege of choice he
And
has
freedom.
over his
Yeah.
life. I mean, is there a
I
price
agree, it'd be terrible.
on the
It's just
autonomy of your
another
life?
reason why we shouldn't have it.
Like if you have loads, imagine having all that money and being like,
Yeah.
well, you can't do this, you can't do that, you can't do this. You
It's
can't
just
do that.
another reason why we have it. It's not blaming the individuals who have the money. It's blaming the system that are giving them all this money and piling resources into this business when it could be piled elsewhere.
I don't know. I think I've started to come around quite a bit to like national institutions being a good way to kind of keep the peace a little bit, and not until we have a revolution where we turn everything.
Yeah, but that just
upside
feels
down.
nationalism. We know nationalism.
Yeah, but removing it creates the alt-right. I feel.
I think that's a ridiculous statement.
No, honestly.
Removing nationalism anyway creates the alt-right.
It's a feeling of lack of like connection to like a cultural history. I honestly think. I just think removing
Nationalism
that,
is a massive part of it.
removing that cultural history will create like a more
grievance.
warped-
It will create a grievance.
Yeah, but like I feel it keeps. Yeah, I don't know. I feel things like the Queen.
But that's also quite pessimistic because there does open an avenue for people to put their allegiances in somewhere else, perhaps the world.
I think people who dislike
Rather than a
people who
country.
dislike the Queen don't dislike the Queen as much as people who love the Queen love the Queen.
Yes,
And I feel that is part
because
of it.
she's chill. She's a lovely.
She's like a lovely woman.
Yeah,
Sure.
yeah.
She
had a
does her
crazy life.
job. She's had a crazy life, and she had a boring life. Like imagine how long she has
it'd be
to
horrible.
stand.
Well, she's met every celebrity ever, which is
Ever,
kinda
yeah.
cool.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
But never,
what-
never more than small talk. I'm sure.
I guess no, but they're all thrilled to me.
How
Like
many
you
shake hands?
Yeah,
say, right? That, Horatio here for the
Yep.
people at home. That you know you don't like the royal family or whatever. You don't agree that they should be a thing. But if you were due to meet the Queen, and tell me if I'm wrong here, you'd be starstruck, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And
Oh yeah,
so-
because it's like.
Bloody
It's
Queen,
like
innit?
meeting Arsene Wenger, man. Like, since I was born, like that the dude's been in charge, man.
Longevity.
There's a bit of hypocrisy there if you would be genuinely starstruck, but then you're also.
I'd be starstruck if I
bashful,
met Hitler.
kind of.
Yeah. I don't think.
Good point,
yeah.
actually. So would I.
I mean, the Hitler card you can play with so many
Hitler
things.
card,
That's
yeah,
always
yeah.
like.
And he's dead, so.
But like,
Or is he? Message in.
Yeah. So, Charles Manson, like anything, like you can
Yeah.
starstruck.
I don't know.
I don't think starstruck like is in
I wouldn't be
correlation with
starstruck if I
admiration.
met Yoko Ono. I would not be starstruck. I'd be very calm. I'd be very calm. Yeah.
I'll be starstruck.
No, not at all. It wouldn't bother
She
me.
banged John
I
Lennon.
was
man.
starstruck
Yeah,
when I met
that's not
Gino
enough
DeCampo.
That was we discussed
Yeah,
you discussed
Gino
you
DeCampo today.
you making
I've cooked with Gino DeCampo in a campsite on ITVs this morning.
That's pretty
and
cool.
it's when he's got
Do you
the
have-
full-on Justin Bieber
Justin Bieber
2008
haircut.
Do you have
clip.
the tape or something?
Yeah, it's on YouTube.
Okay,
It's
fantastic.
fantastic.
I'm gonna YouTube.
Him running around with his friends having a
Yeah,
great
we had
time
to
in
go-
like
we
a
had to go
polo
get
t-shirt.
ingredients.
Andrew
Yeah,
Cohen
it's
Camp Cooking ITV. That's well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was actually Gino DeCampo's Camptime Cookout. Check it out on YouTube in the Henley campsite. Watch out for me at about 2 minutes in.
Okay.
And at 3 minutes in. Actually chopping carrots. Anyway,
Fantastic.
well, what's the time? 1:30. Song? Do you want a song or do you want to do your stand-up anecdote? Your choice.
Let's just do.
I want to hear this.
Yeah, stand-up anecdote.
We'll get it after
Let's
the
take. Let's do a song.
anyway.
Let's do a
Yeah.
song. Let's do a song.
Okay, again, from the playlist. So I'm going with an interesting name of the artist rather than anything else. These guys are called Indoor Pets. Indoor Pets, so I presume that refers to hamsters, gerbils.
Certain types of cats.
Certain types of
Certain
cats,
cats,
yep. House cats that don't go outside.
Yep.
Micro pigs.
Micro pig. Oh,
Because
speculative.
they go outside a lot.
Speculative, I
wouldn't
think they go
Yeah.
outside a
they?
lot.
Wasn't a good
They do.
shirt, man.
And a goldfish. That's enough of
We're
that.
back. We had enough because we were a bit snappy because I had to leave early. It's very frustrating.
Again. Oh,
But straight away, I just had incredibly weird gig experience this last Thursday. So this bunch of lads very nicely invited me to be in this special gig that they've kind of started amongst themselves, all amateurs. And he saw me at a gig. He's like, quite liked me, and just said, "Do you want to do this gig?" Sure. This was 2 months before the gig. They created a group chat, which they spoke constantly on for about 2 months. None of them knew each other that well. Like, they wished each other Happy New Year, Merry Christmas. I had to turn off notifications.
You're not adding Happy Christmas on there.
I'm not speaking at all.
Okay, yeah.
I'm not speaking to them at all. I'm trying to get zone out of this. And like, I've been messaged 4 times about meeting up and organising because I'm going to meet someone. He's going to drive me down because it's in the middle of nowhere.
Sounds
so it's
shady.
already.
Sounds shady.
Already alarm bells.
So it's
going off.
already. It's been
group chat.
such a
Don't
build.
like it.
It's been such a build up for this like amateur gig. I rock up to the train station with the guy. Meet him, speak to him for a bit. We're waiting for this other guy. He comes in and he's like this strange looking dude. He's like, he's got like yellow teeth. He's skinny, short, and like long hair, like long greasy hair. And he looks at me while we're waiting for the guy to find the car and goes, "There's a lot of strange people on the circuit, isn't there? A lot of weirdos, isn't there?" And I'm like, yeah. And it was just already funny like that. There was trying to relate about the weird people you find. We drive down in the middle of nowhere to this like converted barn that's like this ale house place.
I feel like you've been to a lot of converted barns.
I have. I've been to, and it's literally in the middle of nowhere. We're next to a Turkish hairdresser's and like a furniture store in this like enclosed thing.
Welcome to the Midlands Comedy
Exactly,
Circuit.
and like the room is 3 rooms that have like a big wide entrance to all of them, and the stand-up's at one end. So if you're sitting in the third room, you can't see it, you can just hear it. So it's like radio.
Like this. Yeah. Sorry,
And
yeah.
everyone's doing like one-liner, your miss about the missus jokes. People are loving it. They're all like these kind of overweight, middle-aged
Oh, yeah.
men. I go up. I go up, and my mic keeps cutting out, and I literally storm. I have a hissy fit. I storm off. It doesn't go.
storm
too long.
off?
Yeah, I storm off.
Would you just go F this and then walk off?
I was just like, I'm not doing this anymore. Real hissy fit. I kind of regret it now. In the interval, I'm in the toilet, which is another converted barn, which is just like pissing in.
So it's
like
a converted barn within a converted barn.
There's loads of converted barns.
Is it within the barn or next to the barn?
There's loads of barns. They've all been
Several
converted.
barns all been converted for different
things.
purposes.
As I'm having as I'm urinating,
Having
this
a what?
guy who comes in who's completely high because he has like one of those weed vapes, and he goes, "You're a comedian. Would it be funny if I wore this?" Pulls out a Mankini.
Only comedians can actually.
Yeah.
judge that,
And
so
then
it's lucky
I
he
was
found
like,
you in
"Look,
the
this is a
toilet.
weird enough thing. I'm hanging out with just like 50-year-old men. I'm like by far the youngest there. There's no one my age. I'm just in this crazy, just so unconnected to anyone there." And I say, "Fine, do it." I go back, and then 5 minutes later, he comes in his Mankini. And because of the room system that I laid out earlier, where it's like 3 rooms in one, only one room could really see it. and like they found it quite funny for about 10 seconds, and they kind of turned back to the show. The rest of it, nobody saw it, so he's standing there like.
So the people in the front didn't see any of it.
No, they didn't see any of it, and then
Did
he
they just think they'd missed like a joke?
Yeah, they just thought they missed a joke because
comedians
everyone was like,
and
that's
laughed
good,
at
and
the
then he's just standing there, and he just starts like watching the show awkwardly at the doorway in his mankini, and then I just see him after about 3 minutes of just watching the show, like look down and go. Yeah,
back. What to do when you're standing in a mankini that hasn't quite got the reception?
Because it was so packed as well, so he was like squeezed in with everyone else, and it just like had a serious look, and then he finally went back and changed. But it was like amazing.
A tough point to think. When am I going to leave? When am I going to go back in the bathroom and change? Like it's been a disappointing mankini visit all round, but I think you did the right thing. I did, advising him too.
Yeah.
And then we get back in the car, and I'm speaking to the weird dude I told you at the beginning, who was actually one of the better stand-ups there. And then I just hear his stories are absolutely mental. So he's been an extra in a porn film. He used to be a crack addict, and he was once this is about a 30-minute journey. He told me all these anecdotes. He was.
I love people that come straight out.
Yeah, he just straight out.
Yeah, mad story.
So like he used to be a crack addict, and then he was in a music video playing a crack addict, but because he was a crack addict, he didn't remember like that whole week. So his friend
was he cast, like, off
acting?
the street? Did someone just?
I don't know. I didn't ask.
Yeah, come be in my music
I didn't
video.
ask. But then he said it's one of the weirdest experiences being tagged in a video you're in, but you don't remember being in it at all. So imagine being tagged in a music video. It's like I was in that, but you had no recollection. He was the first of these like this groundbreaking operation on like his eyes because he's got cataracts since he was like a baby. It was like 1983. He was like used as a case study, and like all eye doctors learn about his thing because he was the first.
He's 93.
No. It's so he was like 3 or 4 months old when this happened. Yeah. And because it was the first one, they messed it up. So he's like partially blind. He wrote and sang the Children of Need theme song because he was part of a class that was chosen to do it when he was 11 years old.
The great thing about this guy is his stories range from being a crack addict in a music video he wasn't aware of to singing the Children in Need theme.
Yeah, and writing it and singing it.
Writing credit as
he
well.
wrote it.
Yeah, well, because they all wrote it together. I mean, he sold it as him writing it, but I was like, that's a bit.
Yeah.
And then also he's good mates with Tommy Robinson, the head of
the
EDL.
EDL?
And he's like, I don't agree with him politically, but he's a misunderstood guy. And then I was speaking to him, and he's in contact with him, and he's potentially gonna set up a meeting where we could potentially might be able to interview Tommy Robinson.
Did you say he had long, greasy dark
Paul.
hair? What?
I think you might know him.
Yeah. Wait. What's the first letter of the first name? Okay. Yeah, I think.
Do you know him?
I'm acquainted. I think. Yeah.
Crazy dude.
Yes. Yeah.
But I really liked him at the end because at first I was like, he's like a weird guy, but then I was hearing about his stories and he's just like.
No, most of the characters you meet on the Midland Circuit are very strange.
Just
very
strange.
friendly.
They're friendly, but just like it's so being like 20 years old with these like always like 45-year-old, nearly always divorced, bald, always met. There's so many men as well.
That's very true.
And and also he told me his operation because he's had about 40 operations in his eye.
40.
40 because he's just loads of operations in his eye. He doesn't like being put to sleep during these operations. And
you're not buying that number.
I'm not buying that. That's absolutely nonsense.
A lot of
operations, more than your average.
They took the eyes out of. He took one eye out of the socket to operate on it because that's what they do. They leave it on the stalk, but they take it out. And he said that because he was awake, he could not control his vision. He could see forward and downwards at the same time, and it was the most trippy thing.
Oh, that sounds fantastic.
Can you imagine like someone else like moving your eye around?
That sounds so cool.
So yeah, it was just a weird gig. And just a lot of weird stuff like that.
Are you going to do the gig again?
We'll see.
We'll see.
Because I don't think they really like the kind of stuff I was doing. It wasn't really.
You got to find your audience.
You've got to like diversify material into what one-liners about the misses.
Yeah, exactly.
One-liners.
Yeah. Speaking of diversify,
yes,
Tom.
Hey, it's me.
Tom.
Yeah, it's me.
You diversified the show.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm Lebanese.
Yeah. Talk us through your geographical background.
Let's start with where did this Tom story begin?
My parents are. My mum's from Lebanon. Dad's half French, half English.
Okay.
And a very typical story, despite the ethnic blend here.
Yeah.
Met through a mutual friend.
Yep.
Both were of a certain age and a certain fertility.
Yep, sure.
Ticking all the boxes.
Give it 9 months, I'll pop out.
And Tom's like, hey, how we doing?
How we doing?
Yeah, exactly. Unfortunately, I can't speak any Arabic, though, unfortunately.
Really?
No.
Any other language?
French, I can speak French.
A bit French.
Yes. Yeah. But,
were you in like a compound?
I used to live in Saudi Arabia.
What?
Yeah, I used to live in Saudi
compound?
Arabia.
Yeah,
in a compound. So
wow.
So I don't know if you've ever been to Saudi Arabia.
Nor a compound.
There's the sort of typical life in Saudi Arabia where most women are very covered, and it's quite. It's a peaceful way to live, but very different to how we have it here, you know, for sure. And then a compound is kind of a weird. It's kind of like an embassy. Obviously, it's not legally.
Do you have walls around it?
But yeah, there's like walls and like people that got it. And basically, if you're
What's a convent and what's a compound?
A convent is religious. It's it's like a place where nuns are.
yes.
So they
Okay,
the compound is like a modern fortress.
A modern
Kinda,
fortress.
Yeah.
And so like all these
So like
Western-
Bin Laden
Yeah.
was found in his compound.
In a compound?
Yes.
Yeah.
I just see
Yeah.
it as an enclosed space.
Yeah, it wasn't
More
the same
than
one,
anything,
but yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
it wasn't. It was like, oh, Bin Laden was here the whole time. I knew it. I knew it was him. I've always said this.
Can I say something? Very friendly guy off camera. But anyway, so yeah, and I lived in this compound, and so there was all these. It was really weird because there were all these other sort of non-Saudi people who lived there. Loads of people from Europe and Italy.
So it was like
and
a
America and all that.
Western, very.
It was definitely very westernized, and I would like from the age of 2 or 3. Like all my doors were unlocked, and I would just walk out.
Into Saudi Arabia.
and it was like it felt like miles. Obviously,
Yeah.
it wasn't that big, but I would just walk out by myself. I'd spend hours as like a 4-year-old just like walking about.
Right, in Saudi Arabia? Unsupervised?
But it was in this compound.
Oh,
which
in the
was very
compound, yeah.
secure. Yeah.
so braggy. Unsupervised? That what was that? No parent in Saudi Arabia.
You are unsupervised in Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, I was.
Where's your guardian?
But with no questions like that. Let me tell you.
Well, so just in this, so it was all safe, and you had like shops and everything.
Supposedly, yeah. My mum also. What's quite funny is now this is quite a reprehensible thing to say in the West, but my mum always reassured me, oh yeah, if there's ever a criminal in the compound, they'll just cut his hands off. So don't worry about it, you'll be safe.
Wow.
Which,
well, I feel naive with my Western values being against that.
Ask if there's shops.
Well, listen, I'm not.
Justice.
No, we're chopping the hands
I'm
off.
not saying whether it's right or wrong, but that's what my parents would tell me, and that's how they justified it was being fine, and nothing ever happened.
How many years were you there for?
I was there on and off. I was there solidly for about 6 months, and then moved back to the UK while my
Okay.
dad was still there.
Two
But-
wrongs don't make the right hand that you'd lost after being cut off.
Yeah, exactly. That's well, I
I was
think.
trying to work that in my head and it didn't come out like I thought it would.
I think the
Fantastic.
anti-hand cutting
That's my favourite
campaign.
joke of the show.
They need people with that sort of
Yeah.
PR brain
Just-
over there.
yeah,
so.
Exactly, get yourself down.
But
that chutzpah.
the story ended quite tragically though, because not for me, obviously.
Sad music, please.
I love-
Tragic end. Let's hear it.
I love that you put this music because it's really not in good.
That's better.
Just anyways, are we still playing? Okay,
Yeah,
right.
it's gonna happen. Yeah.
So I leave, I go back home. My dad's still there, and he's like, he can feel like there's some tension rising, and he's not too happy about it. And then he thinks, okay, I gotta get out of here, and he leaves. And 6 weeks later, terrorists break into the compound and start bombing and like shooting people all over. And like loads of people we used to know like died or like got injured or like, and people had to hide in their houses, and it was a proper attack. And so my dad missed it by just over a month, and that's why I never came back.
Yeah, I can see why you
I see
probably
why
didn't
you
want
didn't
this.
want us to
Didn't want to play the song.
Yeah, well,
The
Makes
pot.
sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, we pushed that.
Yeah.
I mean it's 2v1. I'm not gonna. overrule it.
Yeah, man. That's heavy.
Yeah, man. I know.
So he left a month. Was he gone back or was he away?
So he was living in Riyadh in this compound in Saudi Arabia, and for a while, for a good few months, maybe a year, he felt like he should be moving on, and he wasn't sure of his intentions. And this is after 9/11 as well, by the way. I'm not sure how much that has to do with it, but he always mentions it. And basically,
That's
he just
a lot to do with everything.
Well,
Yeah.
probably it probably does. I'm not
Genuinely.
clever enough to break it down, but he just said,
Don't put yourself down.
he
Tom. I'm
felt-
sure you could break
Yeah,
it
you
down.
could.
Okay, go on,
Break down 9/11 for
Come on, Tom!
Tom.
Come on,
Give it a
Tom!
Okay.
Break down 9/11.
So there are these
No
2,000. Okay. And so he just felt that it should be time to kind of move on. And very soon afterwards, 6 weeks after he packed his bags, this kind of murderous rampage.
That's crazy.
kind of
Was it?
happened.
Which terrorist group was it?
I actually don't know. Presumably Al Qaeda.
And so,
Yeah,
like a lot
that
of
would
people
make
he
sense.
knew.
I think so. A lot of people he knew were affected. I don't think, to be perfectly honest, I don't think anyone he knew died,
Yeah.
because there's like thousands of people that live there.
Oh, so
maybe.
it's quite a big compound.
Yeah, it's a huge compound. But like Yeah, it was an attack on the
How
compound.
big can a
and-
compound become before it ceases to become a compound?
And then just becomes
Like
a
a-
walled
Well, that's,
town.
that's,
Like, even-
that's
yeah.
interesting. Yeah, oh, yeah.
A fortress. When does a compound become a fortress?
That's
or
true.
do you say it's a modern fortress? You know, question.
I feel fortress. I think you need a set an internal.
You need a drawbridge.
You need a no. I think you
A
need
gate.
mot and
a moat. A moat.
You mean a moat?
No,
moat.
there's
Not a mot.
No, a
There's
mot.
moat,
A
and
moat.
then there's Bailey.
Oh,
You need a Bailey.
Mott and Bailey tower.
A Mott and Bailey tower.
okay,
You need
yeah.
some of those.
We actually
well
did
done,
this.
fair play. You want that back.
yeah.
Yeah.
That is crazy. So
Yeah.
from Saudi Arabia, do you remember it? The
I
Saudi
remember a little
Arabian
bit.
years.
Yeah, I do remember a little bit. I had a very
Yeah.
nice.
How old were you? Sorry, when this was.
So I was there intermittently from like 1998 to 2002, I think.
Okay.
2003. I was very
so
young.
you were like what?
Yeah.
6? I don't know.
Yeah.
Somewhere
But
between
yeah, but I
at the higher
stopped.
end.
I stopped actually living there. I only lived there for like 6 months. Or
So
about
Oasis
a
were
year.
really big at this period.
And then yes, yeah. So
Lovely
I'm
historical
3-year-old me is always hearing Noel Gallagher on the radio.
Yeah,
and
that's-
it's very irritating, but I get used to it. And yeah, but my dad's still working there, so I'm still going back in the holidays.
What? So your dad still works in Saudi Arabia?
No. He was.
Oh, he was,
So I lived
yeah.
there for about 6 months, a bit over 6 months, from sort of 2 to 3, and then I went back here, lived back in the UK, and everyone else moved, but he was still working there. So that's why I'd come back.
And so what happened after Saudi Arabia? Did you
Yeah.
just come back here?
Yeah. Just came back here and sort of I realised that I wanted to really sort of make my mark on Western society, so I came back here and started studying hard.
Don't
and,
we all, Tom? Don't we
Yeah,
all?
yeah, exactly.
Well, it looks
Where do you hail from in the UK?
London town, born
London
and bred.
town,
Yeah,
baby.
the big L Daddy
That's
city.
where I was conceived. That's where I was born.
Yeah,
Woo,
boy.
Yeah.
boy.
Sex and birth.
Sex
Yes.
and birth. Okay, well, sadly, once again,
Sex and mirth. No,
because
sorry.
getting that religious stuff in, leave that at home.
Yeah. So I ended what is usually quite a light-hearted note on death and tragedy.
No, it's good. I think
So-
sometimes we need poignance
You know,
and melancholy
to ground ourselves.
reflect.
Yeah.
Because you know
We're not
we
kidding
have-
ourselves here with the show. We have some fun, but we acknowledge there are some issues
Exactly.
in the world,
There are.
and we have to think
like
about
Aziz
them.
Ansari on Master of None.
Yeah.
See that's
Boy,
full
that
circle.
guy's got a lot of looking in the mirror to do.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, okay?
He really does, man.
yeah.
He's take a long, hard look at himself and just say, Aziz, come on.
Come
Yes.
on, man. Sort your game out.
Get your act together.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, we're going to have to come to the end of the show now because I
Yeah.
need to bloody run
Although
on.
Thor has just messaged
Oh,
him.
okay, fine.
I zap losers like Horatio all day long.
Huh?
I zap losers like Horatio all day long. He zaps you.
Oh, he's absolutely okay. All
Yeah,
right.
thank you,
It's not. It's
Thor.
not. I don't like ending
It's
on an
tiring.
insult. Yeah.
It's tiring.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. No,
End
we
of
got
the
this.
radio. Yeah.
What?
You know it.
What did the? What did the?
Yeah.
What did what did the chemist say when he
yeah.
when he was looking through a microscope and he saw water being boiled and turning into vapor?
Crikey, those are some good vibrations.
I love the colorful clothes she wears and the way the sunlight plays upon her hair.